Once again, thank you for those who are here and who are joining us on Zoom. We have today Greg Vanney, LA Galaxy head coach, as a preview of their Leagues Cup match against Chivas tomorrow here at Dignity Health Sports Park at 7:30. And we're going to take the first question. Damian, go ahead.
Greg, first of all, we just saw Diego. He said he feels fine. Just your update on his status.
He looks good. I think it was more contusion than twist. So, once you
Coach, if you can give us 1 second, we're having some audio issues. We're going to connect that. Apologies for those that are on Zoom.
Let me just switch it. Hello?
There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Start over. You want me to re-answer that question? Good. Diego's health. He's good. Like I said, it's contusion more than a twist or a structural issue. So he trained today. He'll be ready to go tomorrow.
And if you look at his season, when he came over last year, he said, he had just came back from injury and then he got traded and he was living in a hotel. How confident and calm have you seen him this season, and what has he meant to this group?
Yeah, from day one of arriving back for preseason, he was just in a better place. Physically, he got himself prepared for the season. He was fit. He dropped some weight. He came in fit. Just meant that everything that he was doing was a little bit sharper, a little bit quicker. He got his first step back. I think he was more settled off the field, on the field. All those things. The team obviously is in a better position. He's always, even last year when he got here and into this year, he's just very aware of the role that he plays inside of the system and the group and what his reads are and his relationships on the field in terms of movement and timing. And he's a really just intelligent player. And inside of that, then he's also a good soccer player. So I think he's found a great rhythm in the group. He brings balance. He brings, again, on the defensive side, his defensive reading is really smart. So recognizing whether we need him to sit a little lower or be higher, what his job is on the weak side or what his job is on the strong side. He's just always really in tune with the game. And so that really helps balance the team. And it gives Ricky, it gives, Gabe, Joe, these guys sometimes a little bit more freedom in certain aspects of the game because Diego does some of the covering in some of those situations. And so, again, just his experience, his calm, all those things have been just really important for the group. And the group has, when he's out in the field, the group has responded positively. I think we only have one loss maybe with him in a starting role. So he's obviously brought a lot of just impactful play.
And just your thoughts on facing Chivas. You guys faced them a couple years ago at SoFi, but be smaller place here, but probably more fans, more of their fans here. Just the attitude and the atmosphere you're looking forward to seeing on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I played against Chivas when I was with the Galaxy many years ago. Played against them in the final when we were at Toronto. Played against them at SoFi. They're just always they're a big club, one of the biggest club there in Mexico, and they're huge following, huge traveling and or local support for the Chivas brand. So we know tomorrow, one of the great things about it is, and I say this often through the course of an MLS season, there's only so many days and so many games where you're going to pack the stadium and it's going to feel like a really energetic environment. There might be more fans from Chivas than for us, but I don't think, to me, for tomorrow, that doesn't matter. What matters is that there is energy, the game feels important, that the group responds to the energy in the stadium. We're gonna have an opposition that's playing for their life in this tournament. So they're going to be super motivated, which means we have to be super motivated. And as we've talked about through this tournament, we've got to continue to be detail oriented to make sure that we play every play of every game the right way, because we're starting to look at, between this tournament and the playoffs eventually, is just knockout soccer. And so tomorrow is one of those where the opposition is in a knockout situation, which means we have to be thinking knockout situation, just because that's the level of importance for them. So I look forward to it. I think it's going to demand a lot of our guys, and we'll see how the group responds to the day tomorrow. But I'm looking forward to it.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Greg, the return of Javier Hernandez to Dignity, how the group has been talking about, or you as a coach, how you been taking the upcoming match, having Javier in the pitch?
Yeah, it's just, with Javi, he's a gamer. This is going to be a big game both for their club, again, to advance, for him coming back to LA with an opportunity to play. I've been watching some of their games lately. The sharpness of his movement, his work rate on the defensive side, I think, has been really strong for them because they're a team that likes to press. But we know his movement around the box, his movement in the final third is just really smart and clever. We have to always be mindful of him pulling away and setting up behind players in their back and their blind spot and then showing up into positions. And we just always have to know where he is specifically in and around the box because that's the most difficult place to deal with him. That's why he's a great goal scorer. So we've got to be communicating to one another, again, depending on where his movements are and where he's setting up. We've got to try to decrease the amount of service that he gets in the box. But we know that he's an outstanding player, and I'm sure he's going to be motivated and doing the work that he needs to tomorrow to try to get himself on the board and get his team the win so that they can advance. So we're going to have to be on our game.
That helps you as a coach that you know him and you have him in practices that help you, like how you can neutralize him?
Well, I think it gives you, scouting. We have, because we've worked with him for so long and he's been a part of our group for the last several years. You have a sense of tendencies and what they like and what Javi wants to do and where he wants to score his goals, things like that. You get a sense of it, but the thing about great players and great goal scorers is they actually adapt to the game. They don't necessarily do the same thing all the time. And that's why I say Javi really understands the game inside the game. And he'll see, whatever we're doing defensively, and he'll adapt to that. And if we change, he'll adapt to that. And that's what makes him a guy who is just always scoring goals, is because he's able to find solutions, find pockets, find space inside the games. And that's where we have to keep communicating and making sure that our awareness is really high, and that we're sharp in those areas, because he's a guy who he'll create and use spaces as good as anyone that we'll have seen over the course of the season.
Lastly, for me, this is the second edition of the Leagues Cup. Do you think at this point this tournament is more beneficial for the MLS teams instead of the Mexican teams?
I think the timing of this is what our MLS teams used to say about Champions League as well, right? The timing of this probably benefits in many ways the form of the MLS teams. We are now 20-something games into our season. They're 4 games into their season. We should be, in theory, in more mid-season form than they are. We used to say that always, as MLS teams inside of the CONCACAF tournament. We were just coming back from a long off season and always felt like the Mexican teams were more prepared physically and were sharper because they had 4, 5, 6 games in their league. So I think from that perspective, it does play into the favor of the MLS teams. The second part, which you can never really calculate what it is, but it's always they're playing in our home stadiums and they're playing away, and so there's always a challenge inside of being the away team. I think in MLS it's probably, if not the hardest league, one of the hardest leagues in the world to play on the road, just because the distance traveled, the different environments that you have to play in, from altitude to heat to cold to all those different things. As I said, the distance of travel. So I think all those also play into the challenges for the teams that come up from Mexico. Is they're living in hotels, their travel is going to be a little greater. There's always challenges inside of that. I like the tournament. I think it's I love that we're able to play teams from a different league that are of a high caliber. I think that's great for our league, great for the exposure. I think it's great for both leagues to raise the stakes for each of our league, when to do it and how to do it so that it creates the most even and the best platform. I think is still something that we're always going to be seeking. If at any point our seasons are on a similar timeline, there might be a better time period that makes it a little bit more. And I'm not sure how you cross over the travel stuff. Somebody's going to be traveling a lot because between our countries there's a lot of territory to cover, but but I do like the event. I just trying to figure out when is the best time to do it is always, I think, a little bit tricky.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Zoom. Go ahead, Scott French.
Hey, Greg, you're through to the knockout phase. How does that affect your approach?
Well, it doesn't. I mean, it affects our approach in that we have a sense of calm. I think in terms of how we can look at this game. We still are here trying to win the game. We're going to be in our home stadium. We've won 3 in a row. We're going for 4. I think momentum is always a good thing to have on your side. We're going to try to be smart about how we approach the game, understanding the opposition has to come out and get a win. For us, we can find the right ways to manage the game and maybe play the long game a little bit. So, we'll see. We're not gonna put anyone out that we feel like is at risk for anything. We want to try to keep guys healthy. We're trying to just take in all the variables that are there, but ultimately we would like to win the game, and we're going to play to do so. And so we'll put the team out in a way that we think that we can give ourselves a good chance to win the game.
Do you consider rotation, given that you'll have another game in half a week?
Yeah, I think we have to consider some rotation for sure. I think, also in this event, the only way to get through the event, looking beyond just the next game, because of the games coming every 3 to 4 days, is that you have to consider some rotation through this tournament, or else you're going to run guys into the ground if you go into the latter stages of the tournament. So I think we have to consider, but you can rotate in 2 different ways. You can adjust at the start. You can adjust by limiting some minutes down the stretch. There's different ways for us to think about rotation, and that's what we're doing. We'll definitely think about how minute limitations and things like that potentially on guys as we look not just at tomorrow, but also just the tournament at large.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Scott.
And we're going with our last question with Robert Jalón. Robert, go ahead.
Hey, Greg, thanks so much for your time. You guys are already through, obviously, but there's still a lot of scenarios at play, not only in your group, but in Group 6, where your opponents will come from. Sure. At this point, do you have a preference? Does it matter who you guys face, or is it just whoever comes, you guys have a job to do? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. We're not thinking too many scenarios in advance. The likelihood is, Toluca, I think has to go to Seattle and win by 3 or more there for us to face them. That's a tall task, capable of doing it. I think, if I understand the matrix right, that's the only scenario that would give us a home game. So other than that, because of, form 12 months ago almost, we have to play on the road despite if we win our group or not. I don't love that. I think if we win our group, we should be able to play at home, but that's not how the rules are set. So, which means if it's not Toluca, then I think in any other scenario, we're going to be on the road and potentially on Thursday. So without getting, too caught up on our side, we're just going to focus on our game, and our expectation is we'll probably have to play on the road somewhere, probably Thursday, and we'll deal with that once we know after the games tomorrow. But that's just that's a little bit where my thought, the players aren't thinking about it at all, but a little bit of my thought looking ahead is we'll probably end up playing on Thursday away from home.
Thank you very much, Coach. With
Yeah,
this concludes our press conference. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate it.